Hey everybody, welcome back to Basics with Bent. I'm Jason, and today we are talking about the new DFC 500. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through all of the different features that make the DFC 500 special, all in an effort to help you decide if this is right for you in your shop. Now, the first thing that I'm going to address is the DFC, the C standing for cordless. As you can see, this is the newest cordless option in Festool's lineup, being the Domino, an already great tool, but now we've made it cordless, giving you a lot more flexibility on the job site. So let's start with some of the big design changes that are specific to the DFC 500. And that is, obviously, it is cordless, and because it is cordless, it's going to come in a very different handle configuration. Now, with this being cordless, it is compatible with the current existing 18-volt battery lineup, being the 4, the 5, and the newest edition of the 8 amp hour battery. Now, the perfect balance for the new DFC 500 is going to be your 4 amp hour battery for obvious reasons, and that comes down to weight and ergonomics of the machine. Now, since I'm talking about ergonomics of the machine, that's going to be the next big key feature with this new DFC 500, and that is they've taken the handle style from the DF 700 and incorporated it into this. Now, that's going to do a couple of different things, but the biggest being it's going to place that weight right over the handle, making this a very comfortable machine and very balanced machine to use. As you would expect, the battery is going to slide on very easily, just like this. There is one new safety feature that's incorporated into this cordless tool that I think is really great, and that is if the machine, let's say, dies while you're using it because the battery runs out and you forget to turn off the power switch. Well, if I take a new fresh battery, in this case, this being a brand new battery, and the power is on, and I slide that battery on, it'll make an audible noise and it will not start the machine automatically. So a nice safety feature that Festool's included in this new DFC 500. If I turn it off and then turn it back on, it will now operate the machine. Now, while I'm continuing to show you some of the differences, I'm going to go ahead and remove the battery for safety. Next, on the outside, you're going to see one difference, and that is the release for the fence as well as the lock for changing the bit out have now been changed to green. Like everything else Festool, anything that does something on the tools is going to be green, and they have carried that into this newest generation of Domino. Switching over to the other side of the machine, this is a feature that I want to highlight because this is going to make a lot of people happy that are existing Festool users, or maybe people that have decided not to buy a Festool Domino for the fact that it only comes with the metric gauge. Now, it actually will come with an Imperial gauge as well, and it is very easy to change out, and you can change out the machine so you can use either the metric or the Imperial version moving forward. A couple of other small features to point out which are important is we do have a little bit more pronounced labeling of not only the depth of plunge for the Domino cutter itself, but also on the scale of the fence. Slightly different design, a little bit more pronounced with the numbers, a little bit easier to see. Now, obviously, we have the wonderful feature of this now being a cordless tool, which has its own benefits. But the real change within the Domino, and the thing that I'm most excited about personally, is all of the upgrades that they've made in the new fence. The first thing that I want to address is going to be the levers for the fence itself. A nice addition that they've done is for these locking levers, they've given them the ability to be adjusted. So these are adjustable locking levers, so you're never going to have one of these when it's tightened down be in the wrong position. It's as simple as tightening it down, pulling out on the knob, and placing it in whatever orientation you need it to be to make sure that it is out of the way while you're using the machine. Additionally, both knobs are now located on the side as opposed to one being on the side and one being on the back, making it a lot more easy to adjust. The next thing is when I adjust the fence vertical up and down, much smoother operation now that we are on a dual bar system. I'm able to move this up and down a lot more freely, and it just makes setting the height of the fence a lot easier. Now, when it comes to setting the fence, one thing I do want to highlight, there has been a nice change with this new fence. If you've used a Domino in the past and you were using a 4mm cutter, you would know that if you're doing a miter, let's say on some trim or casework, and you want to use the 4mm cutter, there's a very particular way in which you have to set up the machine to ensure you don't plunge through the material. Well, that has now been fixed with this new fence because it gives me the ability to immediately drop down to 1/2 inch, to support that 1/2 inch material, making it a lot more usable for those that might want to use it on trim. Now, how did they accomplish that? Through the addition of the pins. That's the next thing I want to talk about in this. With previous versions, you had the plastic flaps, and those could get in the way of lowering the fence all the way down to work on some of those thinner materials, such as 1/2 inch. But now with the pin system, we no longer have that issue. There's nothing obstructing the fence from going all the way down, making setting it for 1/2 inch material much simpler. Now, since we're talking about the pins, that's the next change that I want to talk about, and we have incorporated the pins back into the design. And what you're going to see here is kind of reminiscent of the first generation Domino as well as the DF700. The DF700 has a 3-pin system that you can individually lock each one of these pins and use whichever one you want, and you can release them by depressing the green tabs on the side of the machine. So we now have a 2-pin system on the new DFC 500, giving us more capability and more flexibility. Now, the measurements for these, we still have the original 37mm, but we also have the addition of a 22mm to center of the cutter head as well. Now, where that's going to help you is small pieces of trim. Now, while I've got the machine turned upside down, one other change that you're going to see with this is the lines underneath, with the addition of now the indicator lines that line up with the 22mm on center as well as the 37mm on center. Again, just expanding your capabilities in the field. But also they're a lot more pronounced. So if you're utilizing this in a vertical orientation and or inverted orientation, and you need to make sure that you have something to line up with, we now have much more pronounced lines on the bottom, making alignment much easier. Now, the next feature I want to talk about deals with those of you that might be doing things in a vertical orientation regularly. So if we put the fence up, and I'm going to have this in a vertical orientation, and I need to turn the machine on. The power button located where it is, it makes it a much safer task turning the machine on and off when it is in a vertical position. So that's a nice small feature, but it is something to note that is different. As you can see, there's a lot of really great new design features, and again, we have now the ability to go cordless. And if you're somebody that's working on a job site, you're limited on power, maybe with the ergonomics, you prefer the ergonomics of this style handle, this would be a great fit for you because we're now taking the power out of it. We're able to use the same battery platform that we use on all of our other tools. We're able to bring this to the job site, get whatever we need to get done, get really good joinery, and we don't have to be relying on power. So hopefully you guys found this information helpful in deciding whether or not the new DFC 500 is right for you in your shop. Thanks.